Welcome to our deep dive. We're going to be looking at the world of 9-year-olds.
And we're using this fantastic book as our guide, Navigating the Wonders of Nine.
Yeah, a parent's guide to understanding and nurturing your 9-year-old.
I mean, 9 is such a fascinating age.
Yes, it's a real turning point.
It's that bridge between childhood and adolescence.
And the book breaks down all the key developmental changes that are happening.
Cognitively, socially, emotionally, physically. It really covers it all.
Let's jump right in. So the book talks about 9 as this golden period for intellectual growth. Why is that? What makes this age so special?
Well, you see a real shift in their thinking. They start to think more abstractly. Younger kids are very concrete in their thinking,
Yeah.
but 9-year-olds can start to grasp those concepts that aren't so tangible.
Can you give us an example of what you mean by that?
Sure. Imagine explaining fairness to a 5-year-old
Okay.
versus a 9-year-old. The younger child might focus on getting the same number of cookies as everyone else, right? But a 9-year-old can start to understand that fairness isn't always about equal amounts.
Right.
They can consider different needs and circumstances. They develop a deeper understanding of nuance.
That's so interesting. So it's not just about rote memorization at this age anymore.
No, not at all.
They're actually developing critical thinking skills.
Exactly. They're starting to reason and problem solve in more sophisticated ways.
It's almost like you can see those little gears turning in their head.
Yeah, absolutely. The book talks about how important it is to give them opportunities to use those skills. Puzzles, strategy games,
Oh, I like that.
even debates at the dinner table
Oh, fun.
can really stimulate those critical thinking skills.
So it's about encouraging them to figure things out for themselves.
Exactly. And, they're bursting with curiosity at this age, all those why questions.
Oh, I know those why questions all too well.
Right. Well, the book encourages us to turn those questions back on them.
No, that's interesting.
Instead of always jumping in with the answer, ask them, well, what do you think? It's amazing how that can spark their thinking.
I love that. It shows them that we value their thoughts.
It really does, and it taps into that important skill of metacognition, too.
Metacognition.
Thinking about their own thinking process, which is so crucial for learning.
Okay, so we've talked about abstract thinking and critical thinking. The book also mentions improvements in memory and attention span at this age. Does that mean fewer distractions?
Well, their working memory is expanding. They're better at holding information in their minds while working with it,
Right.
and their attention spans are getting longer. But they're not quite at the level of a teenager or an adult yet. It's like their mental RAM has been upgraded, but their operating system is still getting those updates.
That's a great analogy. So structure and support are still really important then.
Absolutely. The book suggests having a dedicated study space that's quiet and organized, and breaking down big tasks into smaller, more manageable chunks. It's about setting them up for success.
And one thing that stood out to me in this section on cognitive development was the book's emphasis on nurturing creativity.
Yes, and that really goes hand in hand with the cognitive skills we've been talking about. 9-year-olds are bursting with creative energy, and it's important to provide them with opportunities to explore those talents.
Right. And I think sometimes we can get caught up in thinking creativity is just about art or music.
Yeah, and it's so much more than that.
But the book emphasizes a broader view of creativity.
Absolutely. It's about providing them with materials and experiences that encourage that creative exploration.
So things like building blocks, musical instruments, even just access to nature, right?
Exactly. The key is to avoid limiting them to those structured activities and to avoid that pressure of having them be the next Mozart or Picasso.
It's about letting them discover what brings them joy and just allowing them to express themselves.
Exactly. And it's fascinating. The book also connects creative expression to those other areas of development we were talking about. It highlights how those creative pursuits can actually boost problem-solving skills, enhance emotional intelligence, and even improve social skills.
That makes so much sense because when you're creating, you're often having to think outside the box, come up with solutions, and collaborate with others. Those are valuable skills across the board.
Absolutely. And it's important to expose them to different art forms and creators, too. Taking them to museums, concerts, or even watching documentaries about artists can really spark their imaginations.
It's about opening up a world of possibilities.
Exactly. And remember, it's not about pushing them to be perfect or to create masterpieces. It's about encouraging them to try new things and to embrace those mistakes as learning opportunities.
That's a wonderful message. And it actually ties in nicely with another key theme in the book, which is fostering a growth mindset.
Oh, absolutely. That's so important.
Can you tell us a little bit more about what a growth mindset is and why it's so important?
A growth mindset is the belief that your abilities and intelligence can be developed through effort and learning. It's the opposite of a fixed mindset, where you believe your abilities are set in stone.
I see.
And the book emphasizes how crucial a growth mindset is for children's overall development, not just for academics.
Okay, so how can we encourage a growth mindset in our 9-year-olds? What are some things we can do?
Well, one thing is to focus on their effort and progress rather than just the outcome.
Okay.
Praise their hard work, their perseverance, their willingness to learn from those mistakes.
I'm thinking.
Avoid labeling them or comparing them to others, because that can really foster that fixed mindset and help them see that those mistakes are not failures. They're valuable opportunities for growth.
That's so important for them to hear.
It is, and it's about creating a supportive environment where they feel safe to take those risks and to learn from their experiences.
So we've talked about their amazing cognitive development, but there's a whole other fascinating world to explore when it comes to 9-year-olds.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's their social and emotional growth.
That's where things get really interesting, and that's where we'll be heading next.
Okay, great. But before we move on, I want to remind our listeners that we're just scratching the surface here. There's so much more in the book. Navigating the Wonders of 9 is really a wealth of information and practical advice.
We highly recommend it. And you can find a link to purchase the book on Amazon in the description of this video.
Fantastic. Well, stay tuned as we continue our deep dive into the world of 9-year-olds. We'll be back soon to explore the fascinating landscape of their social and emotional development.
It's going to be a great conversation.
See you soon.
All right, so we've been talking about how 9-year-olds are becoming these incredible thinkers.
Yeah, their brains are really developing in amazing ways.
But their emotional world is also going through some major transformations.
And that's what we're diving into today, right?
Exactly. And the book really emphasizes emotional intelligence at this age.
Okay, so let's unpack that a bit. What exactly do we mean by emotional intelligence when we're talking about 9-year-olds?
Well, think of it as a set of skills that allow them to understand and manage their emotions effectively.
So it's more than just recognizing if you're happy or sad or angry?
Right. It goes much deeper than that. The book breaks down emotional intelligence into 5 key areas.
5. Okay, I'm listening.
First, there's self-awareness. Being able to recognize and understand your own emotions. Like, okay, I'm feeling frustrated right now. Why am I feeling this way?
Makes sense.
Then there's self-regulation. That's being able to manage those emotions.
Even the tough ones, right?
Especially the tough ones, like frustration, anger, sadness.
Those can be tricky for anyone to deal with, let alone a 9-year-old.
Absolutely. And, you know, good self-regulation skills are crucial as they start navigating those more complex social situations that inevitably come with this age.
Right, because friendships become even more important at this age, don't they?
Exactly. And that's where the other 3 areas of emotional intelligence come into play. We've got motivation, empathy, and social skills.
Oh, wow. Okay, so break those down for us.
Okay, so motivation is about their drive to achieve their goals, to overcome obstacles. It's that inner spark that keeps them going even when things get tough.
I love that.
Empathy, as we've talked about a little bit already, is understanding and sharing the feelings of others, putting yourself in someone else's shoes.
So important for building those strong relationships.
Absolutely. And then social skills, that's a broad category that includes communication, cooperation, conflict resolution, and even leadership. Those are all essential skills for navigating the social world.
Wow. It's like they're building this whole emotional toolkit.
They really are. And the book offers some really insightful advice for parents on how to support them in this process.
Like what?
Sure.
What can we do to help our 9-year-olds develop their emotional intelligence?
One of the most important things is to create a safe and supportive environment.
Okay, what does that look like in practice?
Well, it means actively listening to them, validating their emotions, and avoiding judgment or criticism.
So even when they're having a meltdown or expressing those big, messy emotions.
Exactly. It's about letting them know that all their feelings are okay.
That must be so reassuring for them.
It is, and we're there for them no matter what.
And I imagine it's important for us to model healthy emotional regulation ourselves.
Oh, absolutely. Kids learn by watching us, so if we're constantly yelling or losing our tempers, they're more likely to do the same.
Right. We have to practice what we preach.
Exactly. And the book gives some practical strategies for teaching them how to manage their emotions, too.
Like what?
For example, if your child is struggling with frustration, you can teach them coping strategies like taking deep breaths.
Or taking a break.
Yeah, just stepping away from the situation for a moment.
I like those. Those are good ones. It's about giving them the tools to calm down and regain control.
Exactly. And remember, this is a journey, not a destination. There will be bumps in the road. Setbacks are normal.
It's all part of the process.
Exactly. The most important thing is to offer consistent support, guidance, and encouragement along the way.
So we've talked about those inner emotional landscapes. But how does this all play out in their social world?
That's where it gets really interesting. The book talks about how friendships become increasingly important to 9-year-olds.
They really do.
They're forming those deeper bonds, and those social connections become a central part of their lives.
So they're trying to figure out where they fit in.
Exactly. They're navigating those complex social dynamics, and sometimes that can be both exciting and a little overwhelming for them.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And of course, with those stronger bonds come some new challenges.
What kind of challenges?
Well, there's navigating conflicts, dealing with peer pressure, and even experiencing things like social exclusion or bullying.
Oh, that's tough stuff.
It can be really hard for them. So as parents, it's important to be aware of these challenges and to provide them with the support they need.
So how can we do that? How can we help them navigate these tricky social situations?
One of the best things we can do is to encourage open communication.
Oh, that's always good advice.
Right. Create a space where they feel comfortable talking to you about their experiences, the good and the bad.
And even if we can't solve their problems for them, just listening can make a big difference, can't it?
Absolutely. Sometimes just having someone to talk to is enough to help them process what they're going through.
So we're like that sounding board.
Exactly. The book also highlights the importance of teaching them strategies for dealing with conflict.
Yeah.
Role-playing different scenarios can be a really helpful way to practice those skills.
Oh, that's a good idea.
It can make those tough conversations a little less daunting.
Right. And sometimes they just need a shoulder to cry on.
Absolutely. And just that reminder that we believe in them, that they can handle whatever comes their way.
That unconditional support is so important.
It really is. The book also talks about teaching them about boundaries.
Okay, so like setting limits in relationships.
Exactly. And knowing how to stand up for themselves respectfully. As they become more independent, it's crucial that they know how to assert their needs and opinions.
And to recognize when a situation isn't healthy.
Exactly. And to know when to ask for help.
So those are such important life skills. It sounds like this book really covers all the bases when it comes to the social and emotional lives of 9-year-olds.
It does a great job of addressing those complexities that come with this age. 9-year-olds are not little adults. They're on a journey, and they need our guidance, support, and understanding every step of the way.
Well said. You've given us a lot to think about, and I'm sure our listeners are feeling much better equipped to support the 9-year-olds in their lives.
I hope so. This is just a taste of what the book has to offer on social and emotional development.
Right, and there's still more to explore, isn't there? We haven't even touched on their physical development yet.
Exactly. And that's what we'll be diving into next.
Okay, great. Can't wait to hear more about that. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground. We've talked about how 9-year-olds are developing those amazing thinking skills, and we've delved into their complex social and emotional world.
Right.
But we can't forget about the physical changes they're going through as well.
Oh, absolutely. It's all connected,
It is, and the book actually dedicates a whole section to physical development and health.
It does.
So let's dive into that.
Okay.
What are some of the things parents should be aware of in terms of their 9-year-olds' physical development?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that they're going through a major growth spurt.
Oh, yeah.
It's not as dramatic as that one they had as toddlers, but it's still pretty significant.
So they're getting taller, they're getting stronger.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Their bones are lengthening, their muscles are developing, their coordination's improving.
I bet that can be awkward for them.
Oh, it can be. They might be clumsy, self-conscious. Some kids even experience growing pains.
Oh, yeah, I remember those.
It's important to be patient with them during this time. Just reassure them that it's all part of the process.
Their bodies are catching up to their amazing minds.
Exactly.
The book also talks about the importance of nutrition during this stage.
Mm.
What are some of the key things we should be focusing on when it comes to their diet?
Well, they're growing so fast that their calorie needs go way up.
So they need a lot of fuel.
They do. It's like fueling a high-performance machine,
I like that analogy.
But it's not just about quantity, it's also about quality. Making sure they're getting those nutrients they need to support healthy development.
So what does a healthy, balanced diet look like for a 9-year-old?
Well, the book really emphasizes those whole foods.
Okay.
Plenty of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean protein, healthy fats, Think about giving them a really colorful plate,
Oh, I love that.
packed with lots of different nutrients.
Okay, so that's the ideal. But what about all those sugary treats and processed foods?
Well, I mean, those are okay in moderation, but it's really about making those the exception, not the rule.
Right.
It's easier to build those good habits early on.
Than to break bad ones later.
Exactly.
So we're teaching them to make healthy choices.
And to understand that connection between what they eat and how they feel.
Right, that's so important.
And speaking of feeling good, we can't forget about physical activity.
Oh yeah, getting them moving.
Exactly. It's crucial for their physical health.
Of course.
But also their mental and emotional well-being.
So less screen time, more active time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Aim for at least 60 minutes a day of moderate to vigorous physical activity.
Okay. And that doesn't have to be like organized sports or anything.
No, not at all. It can be anything that gets their heart rate up and makes them sweat. Playing tag, riding bikes, swimming, dancing.
Even just helping out with chores around the house.
Absolutely. Make it fun.
Right. Make it part of their everyday life.
And another thing we can't forget about is sleep.
Oh, yes. Sleep is so important.
It really is. But it often gets overlooked. Sleep is essential for their physical growth and development, and for cognitive function and emotional regulation.
So how much sleep are we talking about here? How much do they actually need?
Well, the book recommends 9 to 11 hours of quality sleep each night.
Wow. That does seem like a lot.
It does. But remember, their bodies and minds are working overtime. They need that rest to recharge.
Any advice for parents who are dealing with bedtime battles?
Oh, the bedtime battles.
I know.
Well, the key is consistency. Establish a regular sleep routine.
And stick to it.
Yes. Even on weekends.
Yeah.
And create a relaxing bedtime routine to help them wind down.
Oh, yeah, like a warm bath or reading a book together.
Exactly. And don't forget, we have to set a good example ourselves.
Right, because if we're staying up late and scrolling on our phones, they're going to want to do the same thing.
Exactly.
It all comes back to that.
It does.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. We've explored cognitive development, social and emotional growth, and now physical development.
We have. It's been quite a journey.
It has. And the book, Navigating the Wonders of Nine, really does a wonderful job of tying it all together.
It does. It's a fantastic resource for anyone raising a 9-year-old.
I couldn't agree more. And this deep dive has been so insightful.
I've enjoyed it.
Me too. And I'm sure our listeners have gained a lot of valuable insights into the world of 9-year-olds.
I hope so.
And if you're looking for more in-depth information and guidance, be sure to check out the book. There's a link to purchase Navigating the Wonders of Nine on Amazon in the description of this video.
It's a great resource to have on hand.
It really is. Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive. Thank you for joining us on this fascinating exploration of the world of 9-year-olds.
It's been a pleasure.
And to all the parents and caregivers out there, remember you're doing a fantastic job. Embrace the wonder of 9 and enjoy this incredible journey alongside your child.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll see you next time for another deep dive